going on, guys? So another day, another gig. So today we're heading to the Golf Hazard in Parkersburg, just outside of Parkersburg actually, to do some sound for a fight. This is I believe it's a boxing and MMA event. So it's not a cage fight or anything like that. We're going to be setting up sound for it. We're going to use probably 4 ZLX 12Ps, and if I can get by with it, if I have enough power, I would like to do 4 LS1802 subs, so 4 dual 18s. You know, when these guys come out, get ready to fight, stuff like that, they like the impact of the good low end and stuff like that. So hopefully we can pull that off. Some of it depends on layout. A lot of it's going to depend on power, what kind of power we can get out there, because I've only been to this venue maybe once or twice when it was a driving range, and I think it still might be a driving range. So I really don't know where everything's going to be set up, so I don't know how close we are going to be to power. I've got 2 100-foot 10-gauge feeder cords that we can use. Just 2 circuits. They can handle 20 amps at 10-gauge, that kind of length. But I don't know if we're going to have the appropriate outlets and stuff like that. The ring itself has 4 lights in the corners, and those are like 100 watt or maybe 150 watt halogens. So we'll see how that goes if we get enough power. So anyway, not gonna waste time on this one. We're gonna head into the venue now. As soon as we get there, I'll get you back out. We'll take a look. See ya. Well, let's take a look here, see what we got. I'm thinking if we can get like right here. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's got like bleachers. Oh, there he is. There.
On this corner, please face the flag and stand for our national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gamma the brave.
God bless America! Again, welcome to the Golf Hazard as Doghouse Promotions presents the Golf Hazard Summer Smackdown, brought to you by Marion Tenant Pre-Owned Autos and Trucks. Tonight, 19 fights featuring male and female, amateur and professional mixed martial arts and boxing. All bouts tonight are sanctioned by the West Virginia State Athletic Commission. Tonight, our referees are Bill Clancy and Wayne Spinola. Judges Matt Feldhaus, Brian Hiles, and Matt Jones. Our timekeeper is Brittany Hiles. Our scorekeeper is Laura Stevens, and our inspectors are Bobby Parsons and Jonah Coburn, and our deputy, J.P. Stevens. Are you ready to bring him out? Are you ready to bring him out? Then let's Bring him out!
Bring me up. I know it's more down here.
Is amateur boxing at 155 pounds. Introducing first in the east of Chicago Pizza, red corner. He's making his debut tonight, weighed in at 157 pounds. He's from Cumberland, Maryland. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Diesel Day. And now the Astor Auto blue corner. He's in his debut tonight as well. He weighed in at 152 pounds. He's from Morgantown, West Virginia. Welcome, Dylan Forquan. A big thank you to our sponsors tonight, Marion Tenant Pre-Owned Autos and Trucks, east of Chicago Pizza, Astor Auto, of course the Golf Hazard, and Comfort Suites in Mineral Wells, your Fight Night Hotel. Mention you're at the fights tonight, and you'll get a room for just $79. We'd like to thank Cricket Wireless, AWOL Bail Bonding, All Seasons Power Sports, and Ohio Valley Indian Motorcycle. Training for, that's what you came to see. Let's give it up for them. Another great fight. And thank you to Doghouse Promotions and Doghouse Gym for putting these fights together. Outstanding tonight.
Alright guys, so in normal me fashion, I didn't record any sort of outro. It was a very busy event in general. When we got there, they didn't have power like we thought. So they had two circuits outside. One of them had already been claimed by the ring guys, the company setting up the boxing ring. And he has four, I think they were, like I said, 150 watt halogens, maybe more. They were really bright, but they were halogens. So he was taking up one of those, and he had, I think, like 200 feet of extension cord. It wasn't real heavy gauge stuff, so there was just absolutely no way I could put anything on that circuit at all. And we come to find later that that kept tripping out. I mean, he was pulling way too much across that that long extension cord. Amperage was going up since the voltage was going down. He kept tripping out. It wasn't anything I had to do with because they were on their own for that. So the other circuit was being used by the food vendors there. They had about 4 different like hot dog heaters and hot plates and a popcorn machine, just real heavy loads. So of course that circuit was unusable for us as well. So we were trying to figure out where to get power, and I was talking to the venue and the groundskeepers for the area and stuff like that, and they said, well, let's go see what we can find. So they ended up finding and providing us with a diesel generator. It was a 7,000 watt diesel generator. I didn't get any pictures of it because it was kind of hectic trying to get it all done. But this diesel generator actually was really nice. It was good. It was older. It was, I don't know when it was manufactured, probably like 80s, 70s, something like that. It looked really old, and I was kind of worried about it at first. And the guy said he wasn't real sure how much fuel, or wasn't real sure how old the fuel was. It was full, but he wasn't sure how old it was. But being diesel, the engine's a little more forgiving to a little bit of moisture, and that the fuel's not, but the engine is. So we worked with that. They got that generator up and running. It started right up, and it died on us once when we were doing sound check. But we think it may have had like a little bit of water in the fuel lines or something like that, because it started right back up and it ran smooth the rest of the night. I'm never a big fan of running sound equipment on a generator. They're usually noisy, and if you don't have, with audio equipment, things have to be kind of right on. Everything needs to be grounded. Everything needs to be good to prevent like ground loops and hum and stuff like that. But this generator, I think it was built in the era where things were built right. It was quiet. We didn't have a bit of hiss or noise. It provided plenty of power. I watched on the side of the unit whenever we were really hitting on it hard with the sound system, and I think we pulled maybe 3,000 watts, something like that. But to give you an overview of the setup itself, we ran 4 ZLX 12Ps, one on each corner. We ran 4 LS1802s. We had 2 of them on one side of the ring underneath it and 2 of them on the other side. And due to the spacing, I've gotten by with being able to face 2 of them out before and get a pretty good picture with it to cover all around. But I had them kind of offset to either side, and the spacing was odd, and it ended up having a lot of cancellation. So I flipped phase on one set of subs, and everything evened right out. Because of that way it was kind of working in a almost an end fire pattern coming across, but it worked out really well. I had a little bit of cancellation off 2 of the corners, but there were nobody sitting in the corners, so it worked out pretty well. Very powerful, very very heavy sound. The generator was able to provide plenty of power to run all 4 of those subs and those ZLX 12Ps. We did have an issue. It wasn't really an issue, but we did have a thing where we were running 12 gauge extension cords, and we were running about 200 feet from the generator. Being a diesel generator, it was a little loud, so we had to kind of put it away so that we weren't distracting the fighters and stuff like that when they were trying to fight. So we were running a lot of extension cord. So we did have some voltage drop whenever we were really hitting on it pretty hard, but it wasn't enough to make any sort of difference with the audio equipment we were using. It worked out really well. Later on in the night, after the lighting guy's lights had tripped out a bunch of times, I walked up to him and tried to see if I could help out any. Being that we were running, that far extension cord wise, and being that we had a 7,000 watt generator, I didn't want to risk putting some of their lights on the generator as well. Because I wasn't sure how it would handle it, and I just didn't want to heat up my extension cords and stuff like that, running that much current across that kind of distance. But they had 2 LED work lights in the ceiling of the canopy that was put up, which was put up by another company. And those LED work lights, they're probably about 100 watts a piece. I think they're probably about 200 watts. Very bright. I offered to put those on my system. I didn't mind putting that. So I took that basically 200 watts off of their load, put it onto mine, and that helped out a lot. Their lights still tripped out, I think, 2 or 3 more times, but with those LED lights running on my stuff, we had plenty of light for the ring, and they didn't have to stop the fights and stuff like that. It didn't go completely dark in the area. So that worked out pretty well. We could tell there was some voltage drop whenever we were really hitting on it hard, because those LEDs would dim with the bass hits. So there's that. You can see in the last video clip that I put in before this, you can see them dimming a little bit. My camera kind of accentuated it a little bit, but it was they were definitely dimming a little bit with the heavy bass hits, and that's mostly because of the length of extension cord, and it wasn't real heavy gauge, so there was some voltage drop across all that. And when those subs pull a lot of power, so they definitely dip down some. Other than that, it was a really good gig. everything went smooth. They changed which corner walked out first on us about 3 people in, so we played somebody's song incorrectly. It wasn't the end of the world. It was just they were just wanting to hear a specific song when they walked out, and we didn't play it. We played a generic song because the other guy didn't have anything, so we quickly corrected and flipped our sheet around so that we played the right one first based on which fighter was coming out first. So, but yeah, great gig. A lot of sound. It was very loud. It sounded very clear, powerful sound. That's what we're always going for. It wasn't stereo. The entire high end was mono. Well, the whole thing was mono. Because we had one speaker facing each of the 4 sides of the ring area. So one speaker would cover this way, one speaker cover this way, and it worked its way around so that the entire round was covered. But because of that, there was no way to get any kind of stereo image or anything like that. So everything was ran mono. Basically, we ran audio to the first ZLX, which was underneath the amp rack, or above the amp rack, sorry. And then that one, we just basically chained all 4 of them together off that first one. So they all had the same signal. Subs, we fed both sets of subs individually with 2 different amps, so we were able to control that a little bit, which is how I was able to flip phase and stuff like that using the Drive Rack PA2. Other than that, that's pretty much the gig. We played rock music. They gave us music ahead of time, and we just played what we wanted, or played what they wanted for their outro songs. And then we just played our own, just found some good rock and stuff like that to play in between. Other than that, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear them down below. These are some kind of different gigs that we do other than weddings. I know this channel doesn't have a whole lot of weddings yet, but we're going to be vlogging in more. I've got a wedding coming up next weekend I'm going to try to do a little bit of vlogging with. It should be a pretty good one. I already have my meetings and stuff with the bride and groom, so it should be cool. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy the gig. Please like and subscribe. Those really help me out for figuring out what to make for you guys. If you do enjoy these kinds of things, a little bit different gigs that somebody in this kind of business would want to do. So like and subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.